So I'm 37 weeks and I had a midwife appointment today that didn't go so well. Baby girl is completely breech. She's completely head up. I'm not entirely sure if this happened recently or if she's been like this. A lot of practices, including mine, don't do breech vaginal deliveries. It's possible to do, but it's like a very specific skill that's acquired. A breech baby usually means an automatic C-section, which is very, very much not what I am hoping for. So, I've been incredibly proactive during my pregnancy. I've been very watchful of my nutrition, and I've been physically active, and I've been trying to watch my stress levels, and I've been just doing everything I possibly can to have made this pregnancy as smooth as possible. So I'm definitely confused. Yeah, this isn't fun, but I'm just gonna take today to cry it out, because emotions can affect baby's positioning as well. So I'm just gonna cry it out, let it out, and continue to be proactive, continue to do all the things that I have been doing, just more frequently and more with purpose, I guess. So I don't know what we're going to do, but I'm determined, that's for sure, to turn her as naturally as possible and to do it as safely as possible. So I'll keep you posted. Oh my goodness, what a week. I feel like I've been sucked up into a tornado, spun around a bunch of times, and then just spit out. This by far has been the most stressful week during pregnancy. It really, really rocked me. I was not expecting any of this. I've had different midwives at different appointments tell me that she's head down. When you're just going by feel, when you're feeling around for the belly, or you're going even by the heartbeat, that is not actually accurate, apparently. So with breech babies, you can actually hear the heartbeat down low still. So my husband, my whole pregnancy, has heard her heartbeat below my belly button, pretty much in this same exact spot, maybe sometimes just on the other side. He has always heard her heartbeat down low, and because the midwives were telling us that she was head down, we never thought twice about it. Now, because I was limiting ultrasounds, we didn't really ever confirm. And when you're talking about breech or head down or anything like that, ultrasound is really the only thing that can confirm. You know, these babies are all contorted up in there. So without having those ultrasounds, we never actually got confirmation until last week. And honestly, I'm really grateful that we caught it last week and not in labor. So I'm really grateful for that. But let's get into what has been going on. So the first thing that we were going to try to do, obviously, is to flip baby girl into the proper position, into the head down position. And of course, we wanted to do it in the most natural way to give her that space and that ability to do so. And when I tell you we tried everything, I mean we tried every possible thing that I could find to naturally turn baby girl head down. So I was already seeing a chiropractor about once a week my entire pregnancy. It's been really helpful with keeping my joints and everything in alignment and a lot less pain. Last week, I went 3 times. I went 3 times to the chiropractor just to have him make those adjustments to give her that space that she needed. If you do decide to go to a chiropractor during pregnancy, I would highly recommend searching for a Webster certified chiropractor. And I can put a link down below where you can find that in a location near you, but it's really important to go to the proper kind of chiropractor, especially during such a vulnerable time as pregnancy. So we went to acupuncture. So I haven't gone in a while. I went kind of, I think in my second trimester, but I did go last Thursday for a session, and then I went Monday morning as well for acupuncture. Acupuncture is known to just create balance in the whole body, and there's certain pressure points that can help turn baby. Spinning babies program. So I was already doing the inverted table and kind of the 3 balances throughout my pregnancy. I was doing it every single day. And I think that's also kind of what confused me of why she was breached, because I was just doing a lot of preventative, honestly, and I couldn't understand it, but I upped that inverted forward leaning table, whatever it's called, to 2 to 3 times a day last weekend. We also added in the breech tilt, which is supposed to kind of be off the couch, kind of on an ironing board, but because we don't have either at the moment, we had to improvise. Our setup was a little funky, but we made it work. We tried moxibustion sticks, or moxie sticks for short, and it's essentially this like Chinese herb stick that you light. It's very smoky. Would not recommend doing it inside the house, only outside for sure. And it just kind of, there's an acupressure point on your pinky. I think you can Google it, it's pretty easy to find, that is supposed to help with breech babies. So once you start warming that area, that's supposed to help flip the baby as well. We even did something as simple as putting cold on top of my belly, warm on the bottom of my belly. I had my husband pretty much speak into my pelvis, like my vagina area, just to, I don't know, for her to follow his voice or something. I mean, we were kind of desperate. I was like, let's try anything possible. You name it, we tried it. And this is where my Taurus stubbornness really came in handy, because I was not willing to let anything go. I needed to do everything I possibly could have. Now, while we spent the weekend doing all this natural stuff, I did have a standing appointment on Tuesday the 25th for an ECV. An ECV stands for external cephalic version. My midwife just suggested I make the appointment, so I have that standing appointment, and then I can just spend the weekend kind of researching and deciding if that was something that I wanted to go through. So what is it exactly? It's essentially when they try to physically manipulate the belly and physically try to flip the baby head down externally. Now, statistically speaking, this only works about 50% of the time. It is done in a hospital setting. I don't know if it's done in like an operating room or somewhere near an operating room, but it's definitely in a medical setting, because God forbid something was to happen, you go into an emergency C-section right away. So the way that I understood it, if you do get an ECV at the hospital, there's a lot to it. So you do have a vaginal check to make sure that the baby is not deep in the pelvis or something, or you want to make sure that the baby is high enough where you can safely turn. I have avoided vaginal checks my entire pregnancy, and this is not something that I wanted to start doing. I'm pretty sure in the hospital, ECVs also require you to get an epidural, a uterine relaxant, so that you're not contracting during the procedure, because if you're contracting and your uterus gets hard, it makes it much more difficult. I think you are given some sort of pain medication, and then you also are hooked up essentially to an IV just in case. Obviously there's fetal monitors, and it's done with an ultrasound. So to someone like me who has serious medical anxiety, this just sounded like an absolute nightmare. Everything that I didn't want, even in birth, I was now being told that that's what's required to do this procedure. How can I possibly feel comfortable with that, Plus, with all the stuff that they're essentially giving you to numb you, I guess, so that you don't feel pain, it didn't make sense, because what if I feel something is wrong? Shouldn't that be kind of a conversation between me and the doctor? If you're putting an epidural and a relaxant and all these things, there's no way that I can tell the doctor or the provider that what's happening, what I'm actually feeling. So I didn't like that. Just that sheer possibility of having baby girl in that moment, because if I was to do the ECV, something not going the way that it's supposed to would be an emergency C-section on the spot. Like, I was not mentally ready to leave the hospital with a baby like that. And I know she's not ready to be born, because otherwise I would have gone into labor already. So lots of things that were turning me off from that. I want to go into labor myself. There's a reason for women going into labor, and it just sounded like too much risk for me. However, in the grand scheme of things, if you do dream of a vaginal birth, wouldn't you want to try the ECV, right? Because then if you get to turn baby head down, everything is right with the world. But the fact that the ECV could have led to an emergency C-section just kind of eliminates that fact in my mind, kind of cancels each other out. So these were some major decisions that I had to make, and these are pretty serious decisions. These are not decisions that were to be taken lightly, and it was scary. So obviously I wasn't satisfied with the choices that I had. So I just kept researching and researching. I wanted to understand why breech births in the US are automatically C-sections. They're not emergencies. Why are they not being performed? What is so dangerous about them? What is so scary about them? Just why? So I began looking into the risks of vaginal breech birth and kind of why doctors don't do it, why they're not being trained in it. Honestly, if we're looking at the hospital birth as the business that it is, doctors aren't going to be making money off a vaginal breech birth as much as they would a C-section. So just that simple fact already does not make me feel safe at all. So I found a website. It's called Breech Without Borders, and it's essentially a great tool for anything to do with breech vaginal births. They have a bunch of videos on breech vaginal births, and I think at this point I probably have seen more breech vaginal births than I have cephalic, like the head down births. So I really wanted to see how they were different, what the risks were, what did it look like, and through all the research and videos that I watched, it looks pretty much like the same as vaginal births, except upside down. Sure, there are things to look for. Not that I'm a pro now at breech vaginal births, but it was really fascinating to actually dig deep and read about all of that. So with this information, I set out to find a midwife who performs vaginal breech births. And I found one about 20-30 minutes away from me that are trained to do vaginal breech births. Not only trained, but have actual experience with it as well. So obviously I immediately called her and spoke with her. She did suggest trying out an ECV as well. She does do it a little different, well, much different than a hospital setting. But even that still gave me my concerns because this was kind of to be done in a more gentle manner without the numbing. It was just kind of the opposite side of the spectrum, which is what I was looking for, but it also does have its risks as well. You know, how strong are the ECVs that she performs? Is natural better? What's the pressure like? What's really going on inside? Like, I still had so many questions about it. And now I had like a hospital choice or a more natural approach to it. And I was just trying to figure out what was better, if either was better at all. So we just agreed that we would meet on Monday. We would have either a consultation or we would do the ECV. But I was so determined by Monday to have baby girl head down that I was praying and crossing my fingers that we wouldn't even need to have that conversation. So fast forward to Monday, and I was a nervous wreck all day. I got to the office and I just wanted to do the ultrasound right away. I didn't want to talk about paperwork. I didn't want to do the consult, so I'm like, let's just do the ultrasound. Please tell me, confirm for me, she is head down, that everything we did this weekend worked. So we did the ultrasound and she was not head down. To say that I was devastated is an understatement. To say I felt defeated didn't even begin to describe how I was feeling. I started sobbing uncontrollably. I mean, we did everything possible over the weekend and it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. It didn't work. Where in the world is that going to leave us? And honestly, in that moment, it just also gave me a little bit of a glimpse to our past, where it took us 2 years to conceive and we were doing everything right, and it wasn't enough. We were getting negative tests month after month. So we chatted for a while. We talked about the ECV procedure. We talked about vaginal breech births. We kind of talked about, you know, the pros and cons of both, weighing out all my options and my risks and what was really going to be the best choice in that moment. What were we going to do? So my husband and I just decided to at least try doing the ECV with her. I wanted to do it with her because she was doing it in a more natural way, and I knew that I wouldn't be numbed. So if something felt off, I can let her know and we can stop. It just felt safer than possibly doing it at the hospital the next day. So before the ECV, another midwife in the office was just starting to do some kind of like pre-breech massage or something like that, where she's essentially massaging around my belly, the ligaments, the round ligaments, which are the ligaments that hold my uterus. My chiropractor has been doing that throughout my pregnancy because when that stretches, they get really tight. So she did a little bit of that. Then we moved on to doing like the breech tilt, where she started moving around the top of my uterus as well. Just releasing tension to give baby girl more space, essentially. She was making movements around the uterus too, so gentle that I barely noticed because we were just talking, having a nice light conversation. But whatever she was doing, I didn't even notice. Lo and behold, it looked like baby girl had flipped. I didn't feel it. I was expecting like this massive shift in my belly and just this huge weight transfer that I didn't feel. And we decided to do an ultrasound to confirm, and baby girl's head was down. What? I'm telling you, I was expecting this dramatic feel, this crazy type of like movement and just all of this drama. And I didn't even realize when they put her head down. I didn't even feel it. You know, maybe baby girl just needed a little nudge in her little tush. You know, she was trying to get head down, but she just needed that little extra boost. I was in such relief. I felt just this weight lifted. We did go for a walk for about an hour after though, just to make sure she settles in my pelvis really good. And the seats in the car are the worst seats that you could possibly be in. for pregnancy because of that recline. So I wanted to just go for a walk and make sure that my pelvis was where it needed to be. And during this walk, my husband and I had just this really nice long conversation about why the hell all this happened. Like, what is this experience trying to show us or teach us, or what was all this for? The amount of stress that we went through over the course of a couple of days is just indescribable. I mean, what a whirlwind. Apparently for some breech babies, it is possible for them to flip back head up depending on the reason why they were breeched to begin with, which there isn't always an obvious reason. Sometimes it's just baby knows best. So then it came to the possibility of, what if, God forbid, I go into labor and she's breech again? If I was to do a hospital birth, I'm left with no choice again. If I walk into the hospital in labor with a breech baby, I have no choice except getting a C-section. And that is not how I want to enter motherhood. I don't want to be left with no choice. I want to be able to feel empowered going into motherhood. I want to be able to feel like I have a choice in what happens to my body and my baby. I do a lot of research. I like to advocate for myself. I don't like when medical professionals throw a bunch of medical jargon in my face and act as if I'm supposed to just make a choice out of fear. So because of all of those possibilities, I just realized that I don't want to put myself in that position. I don't want to be put in a position where I have no choice over my body, where I have no say, and where I'm just fear-mongered possibly into things that might not be necessary. So after analyzing all of these possible scenarios, you know, I like to play worst case scenario with my husband. It's our favorite game. My husband and I decided that a home birth will be our best option here. I had already had severe medical anxiety, and this whole situation, this whole experience just put me way over the edge. I just don't feel safe with the thought of a hospital birth anymore. I am 38 weeks and making this decision. At this point, I just can't imagine going to labor and then driving to the hospital. I don't see that happening. I don't see that being comforting. I don't see that as being peaceful for me. Just the thought of it sends my adrenaline through the roof. So the midwives that had performed my ECV only do home births. My midwife that I had throughout my whole pregnancy only does hospital births. So I do want to emphasize that this is not like a dramatic switching providers at 38 week situation. This is a traumatic switching birth plans at 38 week situation. My provider that has been with me through pregnancy has been incredible. She has been a calming, supportive midwife all throughout. She's always showed care and compassion and respected my decisions. It's just the system that she operates out of. She only gives birth, she only works at hospital settings, but she has been super supportive through all of this, and I can't say enough good things about her. My new midwife team just only does home births, and that's just the route that makes me feel most at peace right now. Is it scary to be changing all of this at 38 weeks? Absolutely. I personally don't actually know anyone who has ever even attempted a home birth, so this is completely new territory for me, and I don't know exactly what to expect. I just know that ever since we made this decision, I feel so much more at peace. So much more at peace with giving birth. Thought of being home in my bed, comfortable, no loud noises, no machines, no nurses coming in and out. It just makes me feel so much better. It is also really comforting to know that I do have the hospital as an option if I were to need it, and I have essentially 2 different midwives on my side rooting for me, so you really can't ask for more than that. So on Wednesday, we did do another ultrasound just to confirm that baby girl is still head down, still where she needs to be, and she is. And my midwife had suggested some exercises to do to kind of align the pelvis and make sure she nestles in there really nicely. She said something about curb walks and just different like squat exercises. So on Wednesday, I did go to the gym, just super light weights. I did some like step up things, so that kind of resembled curb walking. I just did different things to essentially align the pelvis and make sure that baby girl stays head down. Just, you know, stepping up, stepping to the side, very basic stuff. And it just felt good to just move a little bit. It obviously wasn't my usual full-blown workout, but it just felt really nice. I also refuse to lay on my back. If I went to Cairo this week, and I don't want to lay flat on my back, not even for a second. I'm not reclining at all. Like, that's just being completely avoided, just so that she doesn't like slip out of there. I don't know. I'm sitting on birthing balls only, so doing the hip sways and the hip circles, I am also only laying on my side. So if I'm sleeping or laying down, I'm strictly on my side with my hip kind of pushed forward-ish. And now at 38 weeks, we are officially in the waiting game. She can come next week. She can come in a month, which is crazy to me, but that's where we are. She is now full term, so we're just waiting for her to be ready. After the ECV, contractions definitely picked up. There are kind of more of actual contractions and not just Braxton Hicks. They're possibly prodromal labor, I think that's what it's called, because that's something that could be happening for a while before you actually go in labor. So something is definitely stronger. Does that mean she's coming soon? I have no idea. But our apartment is pretty much ready, thankfully. For a home birth, we actually didn't need to get much ready. The midwife practice actually gives you a nice bag of supplies, the birthing tub, some like mattress covers, just things of that nature. And since we're moving at the end of summer, we really didn't have much to tidy up or get ready or make room for because pretty much our home is empty, like our living room is empty and we just have like boxes. Our bedroom is kind of the main thing that we are keeping and it's all set up. Just the bed, we bought some twinkle lights. Everything is nice and homey, nice and cozy, just what I want to feel when I'm giving birth. And I genuinely in my core feel this shift of energy, of peace, of being ready for baby girl to come, which I had not been feeling for a while. I don't know if it was because we had so much to do to still get ready for her or whatever the case may be. Maybe this was just the final touch. Deciding on a home birth was what I needed to really be ready to meet my daughter. Because she is coming and I am so excited. All the feels, but I'm ready. I really am ready to meet her. And no rush. Whenever she's ready, she will make her appearance. But that's where we are right now. I'm gonna end it here and we'll keep you posted. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here and I will see you when I see you. Hopefully with a baby girl in my arms. We'll see.